One way to judge a culture is to look at the ways it preserves and protects the best elements of its past. By that standard, the British are without peer. The British Museum was established in 1753 when physician-scientist Sir Hans Sloane bequeathed his lifelong collection to King George II, with the stipulation that it be kept intact and be open to the public. Great Britain was a world power, and what better way to demonstrate its power and prestige than by putting the Sloane collection and other collections from the far-flung corners of the empire on display in London. How these objects came to be collected has become a source of great contention. From the vantage point of the 21st century, it's tempting to judge the actions of people living in the 18th and 19th centuries. They would likely argue that they were merely protecting priceless objects from places that could not or would not preserve or appreciate them. Critics would argue that it was nothing more than exploitation, state-sponsored looting of their national treasures. The British Museum has over 13 million objects from all over the world, and its collection is always growing. Each year, the museum welcomes over 6 million visitors who come to see things like the Elgin marbles, statues that once adorned the Parthenon on the Acropolis in ancient Greece, or the Rosetta Stone from Egypt, which allowed scholars to finally unlock the mysteries of hieroglyphics by comparing them to other known languages on the stone. During the Second World War, parts of the building were destroyed by German bombers. Fortunately, the collections had been moved to safe locations. Many of the countries from where these items were collected want them back. At least, for now, an act of parliament passed in 1963 makes that impossible. However this gets resolved, the British Museum is still the best place to see some of the greatest wonders of the ancient world, and there is no admission charged. For most of its existence, the British Museum was the repository of the world's greatest collection of ancient manuscripts and books. The Central Court, the largest covered space in Europe, once housed the library. Now, all that remains is the reading room in the center of the court. In 1973, the British Library was created, and planning began for a new building that would house the collection of over 170 million items. In 1997, the collection was moved to its new home on Euston Road, adjacent to the St. Pancras rail station about 2/3 of a mile from the museum. Outside is a large piazza with a bronze statue honoring Sir Isaac Newton. Inside are millions of books, manuscripts, journals, documents, and recordings stored in bar-coded containers that are retrieved by robots. Some are on display, including one of the few surviving copies of the Magna Carta, as well as manuscripts written by Jane Austen, Charlotte Bronte, Charles Dickens, Lewis Carroll, and the Beatles. An average of 16,000 readers use the library and its online services each day. The British Museum on Great Russell Street in London and the British Library on Euston Road are national treasures with international significance. Hopefully, world leaders will find ways to equitably preserve, protect, and display these priceless treasures for all to see and for all time.